Tonight, someone you know is going to die. Maybe not tonight, maybe years from now. But when it happens, you'll do something strange. You'll gather. You'll say words over a body. You'll keep objects that belong to them, and you won't think twice about it. What almost nobody realizes is that these behaviors were invented long before civilization, by humans and human relatives who were barely recognizable as us. Right now, you probably own something that belonged to someone who is gone. A ring, a photograph, a watch. You keep it because throwing it away feels wrong. That feeling isn't modern. It's ancient. For most of prehistory, death appears to have been little more than a disappearance. Early hominins left almost no evidence that they cared what happened to bodies. The dead were left behind, and life continued. Then something changed. Around 300,000 years ago, Homo naledi, a species with a brain roughly one-third the size of ours, appears to have deliberately placed its dead deep inside inaccessible caves in present-day South Africa. If true, it suggests that even these distant relatives attached meaning to death. By 130,000 years ago, Neanderthals were burying their dead with care. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, archaeologists found evidence suggesting bodies were intentionally arranged and possibly accompanied by flowers. The details remain debated, but the conclusion is difficult to escape. Our cousins mourned. The earliest clear mortuary rituals among Homo sapiens appear around 100,000 years ago. In graves at Kafsa Cave in Israel, researchers found red ochre sprinkled over the dead. The pigment had no survival value, yet cultures separated by vast distances and thousands of years repeatedly used red in burial practices. Whatever it symbolized, blood, life, renewal, it mattered. The next time you see red flowers at a memorial, remember that impulse may be 100,000 years old. Anthropologists have also discovered that some of the earliest known jewelry appears in burial contexts. The first ornaments may not have been made for the living at all, but for the dead. The urge to decorate, honor, and remember seems deeply connected to grief itself. Many things we associate with funerals today, the gathering of family, shared stories, meaningful objects placed with the deceased, likely predate agriculture, cities, writing, and organized religion. Funeral rituals are not recent inventions. They are ancient human behaviors that help people survive loss. By 30,000 years ago, burials had become remarkably elaborate. At Sunghir in Russia, archaeologists found graves filled with thousands of mammoth ivory beads, spears, and ornaments. Creating those objects required thousands of hours of labor. Entire communities invested extraordinary resources into honoring people who could give nothing in return. That only makes sense if the dead still mattered. Around 10,000 years ago, another shift occurred. In some early farming settlements, people buried relatives beneath the floors of their homes. In places like Jericho, skulls were later removed, covered with plaster, and given reconstructed faces. The dead were not separated from daily life. They remained part of it. As humans settled permanently, ancestors became proof of belonging. The dead connected people to land, family, and identity. In a sense, every grave became a claim that said, "We were here." That logic still survives. Headstones, memorials, and meaningful burial places all reflect the same idea, that the dead anchor the living. Today, death is often hidden away. Professionals manage bodies. Grief is expected to follow a schedule, yet for hundreds of thousands of years, loss was communal. Entire groups witnessed it together and performed rituals that gave shape to chaos. Anthropologists increasingly argue that these rituals were never primarily for the dead. They were for the living. They helped people process absence, reaffirm community, and endure the unbearable. When you struggle to throw away a loved one's belongings or feel compelled to say their name out loud, you are participating in something unimaginably old. Your mind is reaching for the same thing humans have always reached for after loss: connection, remembrance, and proof that the absence was witnessed. The way you grieve is one of the oldest things about you.